Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston Astros podcast for diehard Astros fans from a diehard Astros fan. I'm Paul Salazar Jr., improviser, joke writer, Parappa the Rapper fan, and multi-hyphenate. I'm a Houston native. You know, I know that TC Jester isn't the name of some famous court jester, and I started the Space Cadet blog and podcast now with the new and refreshing perspective of actually liking and being a fan of the Houston Astros. Gasp. You know, the media always tends to be negative or really doom and gloom about our team because, you know, let's be honest, they're on the coasts, they're from LA and New York, and those teams from those cities really don't like the Astros for a couple of different reasons for sure. Plus, I mean, clickbait works. You make good clickbait, you make money. That's how it works. I understand. But I am your cool glass of water in a hot take sports environment. You know what I mean? I'm going to, of course, have my emotions too. I'm sure I'll find myself in hot take territory as well. But I'm just saying that's not the main goal of the pod. It's not, you know, I at least admit when I'm making jokes and when I'm being silly. I try not to be too aggressive. I try to take a logical and long-term approach to sports podcasting. Well, you know, as logical as a crazed fanatic can be, right? All right, folks. Welcome to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I am coming here from sunny Los Angeles. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host and co-producer, the Ross to my Frasier, Carla the dog. She's here with me. We have the door open, letting all the noises in because that makes for good podcasting. You know, she rarely gets on mic, but she is vocal from time to time when I'm recording, so this is just your heads up. You know, you might get some dog noises on the podcast today. Trigger warning if you're a cat. Just want to let you know. But let's get to the pod today. Today we'll talk about the series versus the Rays, the Astros' lackluster offense, and look once again, we're going to look at pitcher injuries. So let's kind of get to it. Today, we are recapping the Rays series a bit. We're kind of looking at how the Astros fared. Obviously, they lost the series, only winning the middle game there, losing the rubber match in the Sunday matinee today. Astros starter Spencer Arrighetti took to the mound. It was spaghetti time on the mound, and unfortunately, your Houston Astros squandered a great start from Spaghetti. The Spaghetti Man went up there and he pitched 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, just gave up 2 walks. And he saw what Yusei Kikuchi did the other day, and he said, "Hold my noodles." Gave a 12 strikeout performance, 0 home runs from Spaghetti. He even topped you there, no home runs in the game. I mean, honestly, Spencer Arrighetti had a great game. He really went out there and shoved. Like I was saying, the last Spencer Arrighetti start, you know, he's starting to feel it. He knows that he is a 6th man in the rotation. He knows that the Houston Astros traded for starting pitching because they need starting pitching. So while I've been saying Arrighetti it's not been fair to judge Arrighetti because he truly is a quadruple A starter, if you will. You know, he should be in triple A working on his arsenal, working through his pitch shapes and going through his lumps there. But instead, he's really taking his lumps at the major league level because the Astros desperately need starting pitching. So it was great to see him go out there and give this amazing performance, but it was absolutely heartbreaking to see the lack of run support from the Houston Astros. It's like they thought Justin Verlander was up there or something. They're like, he doesn't need the run support from us. Unfortunately, a very Verlandian stat line from Spencer Arrighetti and a very Verlandian run support effort from the Houston Astros. Briefly looking at the other pitchers here in this game, just kind of keeping it to the pitching at the moment. Brian King, rookie lefty, came in the seventh inning and pitched very well. He got 2 strikeouts and he also gave up a walk, but he was able to get out of the inning there. And then for the 8th and the 9th, the Astros tapped Sean Dubin to come with the mop, seeing that the Astros were down. They didn't go with their high leverage guys. They went with a mop in the situation, which I think was a good call by Espada, keeping the arms ready for bigger innings. Really banking on your offense, which I felt like was a good choice. Dubin did give a great performance. He gave, in 2 innings pitched, he only gave up 1 hit and 1 walk, giving a strikeout as well. I do like that look. It's funny. You can't have it both ways, Astros fans. Astros fans have been saying, they don't want Hader in there in non-safe situations. Then Hader isn't put in a non-safe situation, and they're like, oh, it worked out for us, but, why is Dubin in there? You can't have it both ways. So in this instance, for this game, I do think I loved seeing Dubin in there. I loved seeing Dubin get that great performance. I didn't love the Astros offense, but looking at the pitching in this game, Arrighetti, King, and Dubin only gave up 6 hits and got 15 strikeouts with a very low amount of walks. That was 4 walks in the whole game. You see that, and that's what we need from a pitching performance. But unfortunately, the Astros are still missing with men in scoring position, transitioning into that offense here a bit to get to the negative part of the podcast. Unfortunately, losing this game, I don't even think I mentioned it here. Losing this game 1-0. The Astros are not good in games that are decided by a single run. Once again, this does not help them beat those allegations. The Astros, once again, aren't beating the allegations of their offense not performing with men in scoring position. They missed a big opportunity in the first inning with the bases loaded. Overall, the team went 1 for 5 with men in scoring position and left 6 men on base. When you look at some of the other games, it really doesn't seem that bad until you realize that the Astros offense altogether, the lineup only got 3 hits and worked 3 walks in the entire game. They got 6 men on base on the entire game, and they left all 6 of them on base in scoring position, going 1 for 5, and in total getting 12 strikeouts. As I say, when the pitching does well, you got to tip your hat to the pitchers. So I do tip my hat to the Rays pitching, which gave the Astros fits. But this was a time when the Astros really needed to find consistency and power. So while I'm tipping my hat to the Rays, I'm just kind of looking at the Astros offense and shaking my head like I thought you guys were a little better than this. Definitely looking towards the bottom of the lineup, guys. But, it's like you don't expect a lot of power coming from a lot of our hitters right now on the Astros in the bottom of the order, but you are expecting some hits from them. Especially when you're looking for consistency, especially when you're looking for power, to see them get 12 strikeouts, I hate this. And getting shut out, this is just a bad trend for the team. Overall, the aggression in this game really bit us in the butt. The Astros offense is really struggling from a lack of power right now, and especially, there was a good moment after Kyle Tucker left where the team really, felt inspiration. They were averaging 5 to 6 runs a game. They were really figuring it out. But lately, the lack of power has really been the bane of their existence, and they're really not hitting with runners in scoring position. And they can't seem to be a small ball team. They can't find bunts and base running that easily. And they're also right now a terrible station-to-station team that keeps leaving men on base. If they're able to find some hits, if they're able to work some walks, they're able to just get a blooper here and there and just keep the inning alive, that'd be different. But this team is struggling to do this right now. And I know I generally am an optimistic guy. I'm generally a positive guy. But, when you're looking at the stats and when you're looking at the performance all season, and when you know that this is the team that we have going ahead, you can kind of be a little more strongly worded. And I still love this team. I still have a lot of hope for this team. But the way they're playing baseball right now is not going to lead towards winning efforts, because this offense needs to figure out a way to score. And right now, they need to figure out a way to be a station-to-station game, station-to-station offense that passes the baton and keeps the inning going no matter what, and work some walks, figures out a way to get the bat on the ball, get some slap hits, get some bloopers, just get on base. And it just looks like they're trying to find their way still with power. And there's a lot of players on this team that have pop, that have power, that should be going for that kind of offensive approach more likely than not. However, right now, if you don't have that power, we don't need a strikeout. We don't need a pop up. We need you to get on base. It's definitely just needing to tweak the offensive approach just a little bit. But I think these guys here were looking for the power this game. I think they were looking for big hits. I think they were looking for big swings. And I think, that hasn't always benefited the Houston Astros in 2024. So we'll see how they do. Maybe they can find that power again. Maybe they need to just change the offensive approach up just a little bit. But this season, honestly, we need like a 3-hour long Oscar in memoriam for all of the poor souls this Astros lineup have left on base. Hopefully the Astros can find this new offense. I'm calling for it. All season long I've been saying that, you're not going to change the Astros offense in the sense that most of this team, if they get an early strike, they're going to be swinging at that early strike. And then later on in the count, they tend to be a little bit more selective. But right now, they need to dial up that selectivity and actually work some walks. The Astros' walk rate has been trending lower this season than it has in previous seasons. And I don't think that is because Joe Espada came in here and it's like, we're not going to take walks anymore. I think the pressure is on this team and they're feeling it and trying to go for more power. They need to find a way to take the pressure off of themselves and find some natural power, and in the meantime, just get on base. And speaking of offense, we're going to go ahead and segue to a little bit of a Dana Brown moment. We're going to talk about roster moves here on this part of the podcast. Dana Brown, GM Dana Brown, who's been in a lot of hot water from Astros fans lately, has said recently that we may have to bring up a first baseman to give John Singleton a break. Which goes to prove this team does not really like any of their other options at first base besides Mauricio Dubon, which is something I've been saying all season. I said that if they've liked Yainer Diaz or Victor Caratini, or even earlier in the season, Joey Loperfido, and if they liked any of these players at first base, I feel like they would have had an opportunity at this point, at least like Jose Siri, playing the bottom of an eighth or something every now and then. But this team is looking for some defensive help at first base. They're looking to give John Singleton a bit of more of a break and rest him, give him a spell, and not putting Mauricio Dubon in that first base position too frequently. So we'll see who the Astros bring up. It could be, it could be a corner infielder that the Astros are looking to see if they can audition him to see if this might be a Bregman replacement. Not to scare Astros fans too much. They're already spiraling out of control. Not wanting to mention the Bregman contract, but we'll see who the Astros bring up to spell Singleton at first. But we are looking at that. I thought Aledmys Diaz was here to be like a veteran glue guy, but maybe they don't want to spell, Diaz at first, which is very bizarre, which means that maybe Aledmys Diaz's time as a Houston Astro this season might be over if they're pulling somebody up. Maybe I'm just speculating myself, and I don't know. This is me truly just in my own head here. I'm not there. I don't have any sources or anything. This is a fan podcast. We will see. We're pulling up, or who Dana Brown brings up. I think the biggest question here is where will this team find offense? Because unless Kyle Tucker is being pulled up to replace John Singleton or spell John Singleton at first base, whoever is going to be playing first base is most likely going to be a lesser batter than John Singleton. Not trying to throw shade at anybody who may be coming up, but this team needs to find offense. And making that joke about Tucker playing first base, the real question is, when is Tucker coming back? And we're hoping that his shin gets better. Obviously, that contusion was really bad. Perhaps it was a lighter fracture. I mean, they have X-ray capabilities there. We never know what's going on, especially with the Houston Astros, who keep most of their injury news pretty close to the chest, which I think is pretty funny that Houston Astros fans get mad at that. I mean, unless you're like a huge gambler where you just are gambling a lot on the Astros and you're wanting to figure out their injuries, as a fan of the Astros, I personally like that they don't give out that much injury news, because when you're trading with other teams, when they know what you have, when they know how desperate you are for a batter or how desperate you are for a certain type of pitcher, they know that they can get you to give up a little more. And we've already seen what the Astros give up for in trades, and it's already being claimed as too much by Astros fans. So I'm saying, if everybody knows all of your business, sure, you're being nice to your degenerate gambler friends that are making bets, but you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to trade and business. So, if you don't need to be telling people all of your business, don't tell people all of your business. Hold something close to the chest. I don't mind that. But, maybe I'm wrong. If you see it a different way, and maybe I'm just missing something here, you definitely can reach out to me and let me know. But, for me, from that perspective, I don't understand why people are always so frustrated by it. I mean, like, us knowing exactly what his injury is isn't going to help us feel any better about him being out longer. We're still in this hangover of the trade deadline. Even with Yusei Kikuchi having a really good game, Caleb Ferguson not having the best outing. In his last game, he kind of pitched 2 innings like Sean Dubin did in the end of the game against yesterday, or on Saturday, I should say, because I don't know when you're listening to this podcast. But on Saturday, Caleb Ferguson had a decent outing, but gave up a home run. One of those crazy line drive little home runs that the Rays did against us in that game. A lot of people have been talking about the trades again, and I really think, I was joking that after that Caleb Ferguson outing, I think that the $750,000 was an overpay. I think that's the overpay in that international pool money. But I do think Caleb Ferguson, he did look pretty good. I do think he's going to contribute to this team, and hopefully he'll contribute to them in a playoff run. We will see. But, I think it's funny that everybody, now that Jake Bloss and Joey Loperfido and Will Wagner are there with the Blue Jays, and they're kind of settling in now that Joey Loperfido is striking out a lot with the Blue Jays. People are starting to kind of calm their fears about the Astros giving up a lot. I still maintain that they gave up a lot, but they're kind of thinking, okay, maybe Joey Loperfido wasn't the truth. We will see. But it just made me think that maybe the last time the Astros gave up a big prospect, I was like talking in past podcasts about, what was the biggest prospect the Astros gave up? What was something that kind of, the Astros could kind of think of as the one that got away, And I think it's kind of Teoscar Hernandez. Teoscar Hernandez was traded to the Blue Jays and was a highly touted prospect, and Astros fans were not too happy about giving him up. But he actually became a good pro. I mean, he did. He won the home run derby this season. And when you face him as an opponent, you're not too happy to face him, But no one really ever talks about him as the one that got away. We're more like, oh yeah, that's Teoscar Hernandez. Did you know that he was an Astros prospect? Yeah, no, he's one of us, But we don't talk about him like he, the way people are talking about Joey Loperfido as like, oh, it was too much. Why did we do that? And the reason why is because we won the World Series. And also because we have Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker. Obviously we don't have them both right now. But, it didn't quite hurt quite as much because the return of what the return yielded a great result, which was a World Series win. So, I'm not saying the Astros are bound for the World Series this season, as much as I'm saying, a lot of these trades, even if the player becomes a pro, a good pro, you don't always go back and think, man, we gave up too much. So, we will have to wait a couple years before we really know how we feel about this trade. But it's so funny how the feeling of anxiety and tension was so high last week, and now this week it's starting to subside with a great Yusei Kikuchi performance. But with some other roster notes real quick, Luis Garcia has elbow soreness. He was had a bit of a setback in his rehab. He was going to throw a bullpen at Minute Maid Park. That was set back because of his elbow soreness. And lately he's saying that the soreness is subsiding, so hopefully Luis Garcia can come back soon. We need all the starting pitching we can get, so I'm hoping that he's able to get that rehab back. JV threw a great bullpen. He's I don't know what constitutes a great bullpen, but from what I'm hearing, he was able to pitch a good enough bullpen where rehab games in the minors is in his future. So we're hoping for Justin Verlander to get some minor league starts so we can get him back on the team, get to that 6-man rotation and help alleviate some of the strain that has been put on Ronel Blanco and Spencer Arrighetti and Hunter Brown, these young arms that do look a little taxed. They still are putting up great performances, obviously, but we want to rest them to make sure they make it to the end of the season and hopefully into a deep postseason push. Another roster note here, sadly, Lance McCullers Jr., as per Joe Espada, is going to be out for the rest of the season, making it 2 seasons that he has been out. Lance McCullers Jr., the last time he pitched was in the World Series against Philadelphia, and has had trouble getting back to health since. Lance McCullers Jr., he is a hero. He's a postseason hero. He's a Houston hero. He's Mr. Bury Me in the H. I do know that a lot of people aren't happy about his contract because he has not been able to play that much into that contract. But, I don't know what to say. It does look like this guy doesn't have the best of luck with health. Obviously this isn't intentional. It's like Lance McCullers Jr. is not pitching because he's making money. This guy loves Houston. I know this guy is a gamer. I know this guy desperately wants to be part of another World Series team. So this is just sad. This is unfortunate. We are hoping and rooting for Lance McCullers Jr. here at this podcast. We want to bury him in the H. We don't want to bury his career in the H. So Lance McCullers Jr., if you're out there, there's no shade. I'm not, I might make my jokes. I might throw a little subtle shade, but I'm not out here like trying to call you Mr. Glass to be mean. I am just making my jokes as a mediocre podcaster. So I do think, we're rooting for you here, even if we are making jokes. I think just real quickly, I wanted to mention Shea Whitcomb and Zach DeZenzo. I was struggling to find those names in my notes earlier about what first baseman might be coming up to help spell John Singleton. So I think those are the names that the organization is looking at. I'm sure there are other first base options in AAA or perhaps being thrown out there. I've mentioned it. I'm a fan. I love the Houston Astros, but I definitely know there are holes in my knowledge. And when it comes to the farm system, I'm pretty good. I've been pretty good this system with AAA, but I know there's a lot of holes in my game. I know there's some people that the organization is looking at that I probably just aren't on my radar whatsoever. But I do think Shea Whitcomb or Zach DeZenzo are most likely going to be the names called up, and we will see if they're being called up at the expense of Aledmus Diaz. And also speaking of AAA team, Rafael Montero did clear waivers. So Rafael Montero did accept his assignment. He will be joining the Sugarland Space Cowboys and working on his pitch arsenal. They have maintained optimism about Rafael Montero being able to contribute to the Houston Astros if he can figure out a couple of adjustments that they say is necessary to help him be a more consistent pitcher. So we are also here at this podcast rooting for Rafael Montero. Like I always say, if you're wearing the Houston Astros jersey, as long as you're not some kind of just terrible human being, you are completely getting my support, because we want you to succeed. If we are signing you to a contract here in Houston, we want you to succeed, unless you're just some monster that we really should not root for. So that being said, we are rooting for all the Astros. We need some offense. We're hoping that the Astros can figure out a way to get some offense going. They definitely need it. Tomorrow, the Houston Astros are taking on the Texas Rangers as they start a road trip for the next week or so. They get 3 games in Texas, a day off on Thursday, 3 games in Boston. Then they're seeing their friends, the Devil Rays, in Tampa this time. 3 games in Tampa and another Thursday off, and that's what their upcoming schedule does look like. Playing the Arlington Rangers, they are having Hunter Brown go up against Heaney, the Heen dog for the Texas Rangers, Andrew Heaney, left-handed pitcher. And then the next game, the Astros are sending up Framber Valdez, who will be pitching against the Rangers' infamous TBD starting pitcher. And then the Astros are going back-to-back lefties after Framber. They're sending trade deadline hero Yusei Kikuchi up against another one of the Rangers' TBD starters. So we'll see what that looks like. I really feel like that is a strong group of pitchers to be throwing at the Rangers right now. The Astros desperately need wins. They need to win this series 100% for sure. They need to at least win one game of this series, I think, to take the silver boot. But they need to sweep this team, like truly. And it's not just because some kind of rivalry thing. It's because they're in the division. The Astros need division wins, and they need to take back over the lead of the division, because right now, as of Sunday afternoon, the Seattle Mariners are a game and a half up on the Houston Astros in the American League West. This is no time to panic over that. I think the Astros can easily get that back, but because of that, the Astros need some division wins. I say beat up on the Texas Rangers, who have kind of been struggling lately. Obviously the Astros have too. The Astros are 5-5 in their last 10 games, but the Arlington Rangers are 3-7, which is the worst 10-game streak in the division right now. So if the Astros can use their momentum to kind of just get back to their offensive winning ways and stand behind their great pitching as of late, I think they can figure it out. I think they win 2 of these games in this series, truly, but I'm calling for them to sweep them. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I hope the Astros answer my call. I really, really do. They need these division wins. But wherever you are listening to this podcast, if you could do us a huge favor and give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, that would really help us out. And go ahead and share us with other diehard Houston Astros fans. You can check out the Substack, where you can get all of the articles, all of the podcast episodes. I even have some old video podcast episodes. Hopefully we'll do some more of those soon. You can catch all of the memes there on the Substack. That's at spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can put your email in that field there, and you get all of the posts, all of the memes, all of the podcasts emailed directly to you. Or if you're like me and you like the app experience better, you can just go on the app, download that, click a little button, and instead of emails, you get notifications on your phone, and you get that mobile experience. I love that. It's like having a Houston Astros Space Cadet Sports app. Go ahead and check that out. Or you can find me on social media at Paul Salazar Jr. on all social media platforms if you want to talk to me about who you think is going to be called up as the sub first baseman for the Houston Astros, or you think what the Astros need to do for hitting philosophy. Let me know. I'll pass that on to Alex Citron and Troy Snicker. Try to get some offensive going for this team. Thank you so much for listening, folks. We do appreciate it here. Keep your head up, son. And as always, vamos, vamos Astros.